Choon Phong, we are delighted to be with you today. Can you tell us a little bit about Singapore Airlines and your role within the group?
Firstly, thanks for having me. It is a privilege to be on your program. We have, as you said before, many of our executives who were actually your students as well. Well, Singapore Airlines, as you know, we are well known for our service, our quality of product offerings, and so forth. There are three pillars to our brand promise to our customers. Firstly, of course, service excellence. And then there is product innovation, so product leadership. And thirdly, our network connectivity to provide as convenient a network as possible for our customers to travel all over the world. So in terms of service excellence, we are constantly looking at the changing preferences, needs of our customers, and then we will also make sure that our customers are taken care of with the latest technology that we can offer as well. Just some example of what we did recently on board the plane. For example, we have now be able to offer free Wi-Fi, free unlimited Wi-Fi to all customers who travel with us. Now, when an airline mentioned that they give free Wi-Fi to our customers, to customers, usually it's limited to a certain subset of the network or subset of the fleet. In our case, when we announced it, it is immediately available on 95% of our fleet, principally because we have very modern planes who are actually already equipped with Wi-Fi capabilities, even on the shortest routes. So that's a big difference. Of course, we also offer live TV for our customers. We offer online shopping, first airline to offer so. So all those are things that we do to delight our customers. But at the fundamental part of this service, it's really our people, the care that our people show to our customers, the extent of details that they pay to make sure that our customers are comfortable. So all those are really credit to our people who are able to show the warmth and the proactiveness in serving customers. Then the part on product leadership, I think you have seen how we have constantly been refreshing our products, such as our A380 new configuration, which was launched in 2017, and it took the world by storm. Even today, the first class suite on our A380 continue to win many accolades and widely recognized as the best in the industry. Of course, we also offer our full flat business class on even our shortest route, which is the on KL when we operate the 737. And again, in this case, I don't think you can find another airline whereby we have flat business class, flat bed for business class on all our sectors, except for very small few sectors that are operated with the older planes. Again, 95% of the network. And when it comes to network connectivity, you can see how we have expanded our network, continue to do so. Even during COVID, we have been able to recover our network ahead of everybody else because we know how important it is for our customers to be able to travel as soon as the borders are open.
Oh, that's wonderful. I mean, so many firsts in the aviation industry. So Singapore Airlines has been an innovation leader in aviation.
Thank you.
And just going forward, I mean, what do you see as the most sort of strategic directions to maintain Singapore Airlines' competitive edge? Is it more of the same, or are there any sort of step changes somewhere on the horizon?
All those three pillars I mentioned earlier, we will continue to make sure that we stay focused on them because those are important to our customers. But you have also seen some of the other strategic initiatives that were put in place. Things like setting up of a LCC, what we call the portfolio strategy, whereby we're now able to offer customers with different budgets, convenience of traveling on different models. So Scoot, of course, is our low-cost carrier and is able to operate at a much lower unit cost because it doesn't provide all the services and products that SIA do. But that's relevant to some markets and for some customers. And we are also able, through Scoot, to expand our network for the entire group and enhance the connectivity between the SIA network and the Scoot network. Give you an example. Uh, we are very big into key markets such as China, India, Southeast Asia, as a group. And if you look at, in fact, we are probably one of the biggest carrier in terms of operating into these places, if you were to count by the number of destinations that are served. So in fact, for China, about 70% of the points in China served by the group are uniquely served through Scoot. And in the case of India, about 40%, in the case of Southeast Asia, half. So those are significant number, and you can see how that enhances the overall connectivity for the group.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. I mean, Singapore Airlines is really positioned in the very high growth markets in this world here. What's on everyone's mind is generative AI and technology that is really taking the world by storm. So I'm sure Singapore Airlines looks into whether it is back office operations or customer facing innovations on how will technology from generative AI to everything like biometrics and so on and so forth affect the future of managing an airline company and also serving customers.
Sure. Technology actually has always been very important as a foundation for an enabler for many of the things that we wish to do. You mentioned, and that were correctly, that it affects not just customer service, but also revenue generations, also productivity gain. So we have always had a strong focus on ensuring that we are well equipped when it comes to technology, and in terms of the mindset of our people. So way back, let's say almost 7, 8 years ago, we already have the objective of wanting to be one of the leading digital carrier in the world. And through a very focused way of ensuring that the entire organization is able to catch on with the digital technology, we had various schemes that were implemented. For example, we make sure that all our people on the ground are trained in some way to appreciate what digital technology can bring. Courses such as data analytics, design thinking, agile methodology, these are actually taught to all our people. So today, each of our people have at least gone through 2 or maybe 3 or 3 of those courses, and that enhance the understanding of the adoption of the digital technology. And we have further enhanced our internal knowledge about certain technologies, such as AI. Data certainly is very important, so we have data scientists that we have developed internally. And all these are parts of the overall strategy to try to enhance the digital capability of the airlines. Then you talk about generative AI. Quite frankly, AI is a topic that is quite close to my heart because I used to be dabbling in AI when I was a student. But it is generative AI. It is we view it as a very important aspect for the business going forward. Principally because it's going to be much easier to adopt that technology in terms of speed as well as cost, and it has such wide applications. And we are indeed looking at how to make use of it in revenue generation, in service enhancement, also in productivity gain. We have over 90 use cases currently being pursued. For example, I give you an example. One of them just recently completed their POC, and as a result of that introduction of the system, we're able to shorten our response to our customers by about 75% in terms of lead time in terms of how much time we take to respond to the customers. So it is actually very promising, and we already have an AI blueprint map out for the organizations, and we are very excited about it.
Oh, that's wonderful examples. Thank you so much. We published a few years ago an article in Harvard Business Review on cost-effective service excellence. And at that time, there was sort of a dual culture in Singapore Airlines that looked externally facing the customer. It has to feel right, touch it. It has to ooze Singapore Airlines quality. If Singapore Airlines couldn't do it, they wouldn't do it. So excellence externally, but internally, anything that doesn't touch the customer, the focus is really on productivity and cutting cost. Is this something you're still pursuing, or have there been shifts in thinking or outlook?
No, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what we continue to do. We continue, for example, to enhance our lounge. We relaunched our T3 lounge at Changi, even during the pandemic. After $15 million spent to renovate the entire lounge, to not just refresh, but make it even more relevant, more comfortable for our customers. We continue to enhance our products on board the plane. Some of the provisions, some of the offerings I mentioned earlier, we are continuing to bring in new aircraft. What is coming will be the 777-9 that will, together with the new aircraft, this is a brand new model with great efficiency, but at the same time, it gives us an opportunity to relook at the entire cabin products that we can offer, including new seats. And I can assure you that when it is finally launched, it will be very impressive and industry leading.
Okay, wonderful. How do you sort of balance, let's say, internal culture when you sort of focus on productivity, watching expenses carefully? How do you balance that culture then with externally offering luxury, in-flight service other airlines talk about?
Yeah, it is actually very much part of our DNA. You have visited some of our offices, and in fact, you look at even the management office, it looked exactly the same as 20, 30 years ago, except maybe some change of carpet, because carpet do get worn out. But essentially, internally, what we look for really are practical layouts and functionality. But externally to our customers, we want nothing but the best comfort for them.
What is on many people's minds is sustainability and environmental protection. So what is Singapore Airlines doing to make aviation more sustainable?
Yeah, it is a very important topic, not just for management, but for the board as well. There are many sessions at the board level discussing how we can actually make aviation more sustainable. You probably are aware that we have committed to the 2050 net zero target, and we have been engaged in quite a few pilots in uplifting of SAF, sustainable aviation fuel. To be quite sure, in order for there to be any way of reaching the net zero by 2050 carbon emission, you really need to have a good supply of SAF. SAF must be part of the solution. Of course, you would have heard about hydrogen-powered planes or electric-powered planes, but those are not viable solution in the time frame we're talking about, especially for long-haul wide-body. It is just technologically not possible. So SAF must be part of the solution. The problem with SAF right now is there isn't a clear picture of what are the viable feedstock that are acceptable, and how do we produce enough to supply to a whole industry. So it's not just an SIA issue, it's an industry issue where it is our belief that all the relevant stakeholders must come in and be part of the solution. So you are probably aware that recently AAPA, which is Association of Asia Pacific Airlines, come together and agree on a target of 5% SAF by 2030. I'm proud to say that we have played an active role in facilitating for the organization and the airlines within it to reach that agreement, because it is an industry issue. It is important that the industry come together and commit to some near-term target so that the suppliers and manufacturers would feel confident enough to invest and manufacture those SAF for supply to the airlines. It's a chicken and egg, right? Before this, the manufacturer will say, you didn't indicate your supply. How do I know if my investments will be worth it? So we're saying now that we have stated our commitment. Please find a way to manufacture it.
One question on sort of core strategic outlook. And what are the core strategy for Singapore Airlines? Let's say the medium term, 3 to 7 years. What will you focus on? What are some of what do you look at for key differentiators going forward, especially given that hardware and many things in the aviation industry are bought by the same vendors? So how do you differentiate Singapore Airlines service?
So the way we equipped our aircraft, the cabin design, how we actually design our seats as well, are quite different. For example, for first class and business class, oftentimes we have our custom seats, and we put in a lot of thoughts about how to make it not necessarily looking opulent, but more importantly, comfortable and thoughtful for our customers. So I think that's very important. But there are certain things that we would have to admit of fundamental limitations to Singapore Airlines. Firstly, we have Singapore is really a small market. Our home market is small, and we don't have a domestic network. So we do need to ensure that we continue to be relevant, to be able to connect passengers through Singapore. That's one. Of course, that aspects of it is you find that we are doing a lot of partnership with other like-minded carriers that would allow both of us to benefit from working together to stimulate and encourage growth in the traffic. Recently, we have announced cooperation with many of our partners in the neighborhood, with Malaysian Airlines, with Garuda, with Thai, and so forth. The other thing is we were also looking for opportunity to grow beyond the Singapore market. And you are probably aware that we will be, if everything is approved, 25.1% shareholder of Air India, which is huge. India is, of course, already the third biggest aviation market in the world, travel market in the world. And really, if you look at India, there is a significant consolidation of the industry. Many of the airlines are no longer what they were before. And clearly, you see two major groups remaining that take up most of the network, which is Indigo and Air India. So we believe that Air India would have great potential to grow, and we are very glad to be able to participate in the growth of Air India and therefore India traffic itself. So those are things that we do, but bear in mind that this opportunity doesn't happen overnight. India, for example, is an investment that we started almost a decade ago. Started, of course, with setting up a Vistara, which subsequently became the best airline, constantly voted the best airline in India, and to today. So it has huge potential, but a lot of work has to be done by our partners and ourselves to make sure that is able to properly tap those potential.
Singapore Airlines, like many other airlines, have gone through many crises, major crises, from Asian economic crisis to SARS to financial crisis to COVID. And Singapore Airlines has managed to come out stronger out of every crisis. I mean, the relative position of Singapore Airlines always what I've observed was stronger after the crisis than before the crisis. So Singapore Airlines has been very agile. So what did you learn in all of these crises? How have you become so agile? How have you become so resilient as well?
COVID is the most devastating crisis that I believe any airline, but especially Singapore Airlines, because we don't have a domestic market, we don't have a domestic network. Everything, everywhere we fly to, require bilateral agreement. So in the depth of COVID, we were carrying fewer than 11,000 passengers, 11,000 passengers a month. And that compare with pre-COVID, when we could carry on average maybe 3.3, 3.4 million passengers. That is a huge difference. And we were at one point operating only about 3% of our pre-COVID capacity. So it was very, very devastating. I would say that at that point in time, at the depth of it, I suppose the survivor question is, where do you get the cash flow? And thankfully, we were able to get the support of our shareholders. Temasek, of course, was very instrumental in coming in and underwrite the funding, rights issue and rights MCB issues. But so did the rest of our shareholders. Temasek is 55% then, the other 45% have also come in, and the rights issue were actually oversubscribed. Fast forward to today, I think all our shareholders will be very pleased with their decision, because the rights issue was at a price of about $3 per rights, and today it's more than $6. At one point, it went up to $8. So just that return itself is more than double in terms of the rights return. And last year, we pay dividends of a yield that is in excess of 6%. And even our rights MCBs is substantially redeemed, about 85% are redeemed. So really, if you look at it from an investment return perspective, it's hugely profitable and it makes sense. But we are very grateful that the shareholders have chosen to come in and support us. Not just the shareholders, but also going beyond, of course, the government were very proactive in getting the borders open as soon as they can. Our customers were very supportive. Even during the depth of the pandemic, they are always sending messages to us, assuring us of their support and cheering us on in some sense. But frankly, the most important stakeholder are people. They're willing to take the sacrifices. It's not easy to take fairly deep sacrifices during that period. They also have a family they have to support, but even then, deep sacrifices were taken, and they stick with the airline. We had to let go of some people, but we did so in a very compassionate, thoughtful manner. And some of them, a lot of them are our foreign cabin crew. And you actually see that when we started recruitment, 70 to 80% of those crew that left us have chosen to rejoin us. So that shows how attached they are also to the airlines, and how they have felt about the whole exercise when they had to be let go. But the important thing really is everyone within the airlines were willing to stick with the airlines and put in their best to be prepared for the recovery. Why were we able to do so well in the recovery? Right from the outset, you may recall that the Wuhan border closure was on the 23rd of January 2020. And soon after, there were successive border closures all over the world as the virus spread. And what happened then is, of course, by February, many of the borders were actually closed already. So going into March and April, we actually have to massively cut our capacity. But throughout the entire crisis, and when it was deteriorating, we were already talking about recovery. So in March itself, we have messages that go to our staff that says, we want to recover and emerge stronger. It is easy to say as a slogan, right? Emerge stronger, because everybody was talking about emerging stronger from a crisis. But to us, we're actually very clear on what we mean when we say we want to emerge stronger. How do we measure ourselves so that we know we have indeed emerged stronger? And we communicated to our people two things. One, we must be first of the block when the recovery comes, which means that if there's ever an opening of border, we must be out there, be the first, of course, we want to be, but among the first, if not. So that's important, because that then drives the entire strategy about how we prepare the resources ahead of time. Second, we want to be still an industry leader. So the new transformation exercise was launched in in April of 2020. Now, in March, we went out and tell everybody that we want to be the first off the block. In April, we also communicated that we want to start this new transformation program, and the objective is to lead the new world. So it is very clear that we want to come out and be a leader in the industry. So those are the two objectives, and only two, not three, not one, not four, not five, two, and very clear, because each of them are actually measurable. And that's what happened. I mean, they're very focused, and people all rally around it, and they know what they are targeting for. And I think, like I said, the credit goes to all our people.
I can only congratulate Singapore Airlines having come out really strong from the crisis. Yeah.
Thank you.
Choon Phong, thank you so much for sharing. Singapore Airlines has really been an inspiration to me for many, many, many years. So if you had one or two or three lessons for leaders of other industries that maybe in equally competitive fields with customers who don't have lock-in effects, if you will, today they fly you, tomorrow they can fly someone else, what would you recommend leaders of those organizations?
Of course, different organizations producing different products may have different strategies and different visions for their organizations. And the leadership may have to match what they have in terms of their vision. But for us, it has always been very clear that our customers, other than safety is always number one. Never will we compromise safety. But other than that, customers are really front and center. It is everything that we do. We will always first consider what customers' impact would be, and how would they experience it, how would they perceive it. But even with that, sometimes you will still come across cases with the best intention, things could still go wrong. In which case, it is better to come out sooner to acknowledge that things have gone wrong, and to tell our customers what is it that we're doing to fix it. I think most customers are understanding, as long as they know that we are not trying to defend our position no matter what. Rather, we're taking a position whereby we have them as the top of mind. So I think that is important for an organization such as Singapore Airlines. Going through the pandemic, there are many, many lessons that we can learn. I would say that we have come out of the pandemic more resilient, more innovative, and more agile. I'll give you some examples. Before, we have always had a very strong balance sheet. So we never really have the need to go out there and look for a lot of money. The pandemic was a really difficult challenge for us, because all of a sudden we actually go out and look for money, and look for a lot of money. We asked for 15 billion, and subsequently we raised more funding up to 23.5 million. So there's a lot of money that we have to raise. As a result, we actually have to go through all possible ways of raising money. But we learned. Today, if we have to do that again, we know what are the best way to go about doing it, and who are the people to approach, and what are the documents to prepare. So a lot more resilient as far as raising money is concerned, of course. Then we talk about us being more agile. For us, I mentioned earlier that network connectivity is very important. So how we deploy our planes, how we do our scheduling are actually of critical importance to the business itself. So in this case, in the past, when we have to make a network decision, whether we should start operating to some place, increase frequency or get offline, is a decisions that may take weeks and months to decide because there's so many considerations. Today, we can take days or at most weeks. It is as agile as that, and we can manage it. The communications, how to reduce or minimize the disruption to customers and so forth. So all these, in some sense, it was also helped by digital innovations that will help us to do some of these communications. So those are things that we've learned, and those are things that will continue to make us stronger going forward.
Choon Phong, thank you so much for this interview. I think many leaders from other industries can really learn about the innovation drive, the resilience, the nimbleness Singapore Airlines shows. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure. And, we hope to have more interactions in the future as well. Thank you.